George Hamner Jr. was born in Anniston, Alabama on December 10, 1950, to Ann Graves Hamner and George Hamner Sr.
George Jr., as a teenager, spent a few summers hoeing trees in the groves and cleaning out the coal bin in the packing house, and said he would never be in the citrus business.
George attended both Vero Beach High School and Darlington School before graduating from Hampton-Sydney College in Virginia with a major in history and a minor in economics. In 1970, while on vacation in the Bahamas, he met Antoinette Camp Walker, Tony, and they married in 1973. Next year will mark their 50th anniversary, and together they have two daughters, Virginia and Catherine, and a son, George Hamner III.
He is a very self-deprecating person, and so he never wants to take the laurels and, hold the flag and run one more time around the field. He just doesn't make himself important, and I think they understand that he's done a lot and done a very good job, and he doesn't want to take all the credit.
With a successful career already in place, he was reluctant to leave for a job that he said he would never do. But in 1978, he became the fourth generation to work in the family's Florida citrus business, on one condition. He required a management contract, as he wasn't going to be, as he called it, the company go-boy.
George became the president, and the company grew and has become a major packer and shipper, exporting fruit to France, to Japan, and the Asian Rim countries, as well as here in the United States.
I mean, he started in the business, even though he came in as the son of the major owner, from the ground up. His dad had him, working in the packing houses and out in the groves and things like that. And so he knew the business pretty much itself from the ground up. And that's always helpful, to have someone from that standpoint that understands all aspects of the business.
He went on to become CEO of Indian River Exchange Packers and traveled extensively on trade missions representing Indian River fresh fruit for Sealed Sweets Florida Gold Growers Incorporated, which he served as president from 1986 to 1989. By that time, the company had become vertically integrated with their own groves and leases, had built the first computerized packing house in the Indian River area, and was packing 2 million cartons a year under his leadership.
He was, of course, very knowledgeable about the fruit itself, and so he was helpful in getting the political side of the business, understanding the grower side of the business. So they knew what the grower was faced with and what both the markets were faced with. So he had made trips to these international markets, and he understood the people that were buying this fruit, and he was helpful in establishing some of the protocols that was necessary in order to do the business in the international markets.
In the 1990s, he formed a partnership with Bernard Egan Company, D&E, in which he provided the fruit and handled most of the Asian sales, while they handled all European and domestic sales.
People will know him as being somewhat impulsive as far as how he talks, but when it comes to business and industry matters, he's very, very focused on the objectives and quite determined to achieve them.
Which was a pretty big change for George, because he had been such a loyalist to Sealed Sweet for so long. And in the history of marketing competition, Sealed Sweet and Bernard Egan Company were pretty strong competitors. But George made that transition and has ended his career mostly being a Bernard Egan Company kind of advocate.
Always engaged in industry issues, Hamner was never shy about voicing his opinion, passion, and enthusiasm for the betterment of the Florida citrus industry. He was the first to develop the argument and prove that packing house wastewater was not harmful and did not require onerous and expensive testing, saving each packing house hundreds of thousands of dollars annually.
Over on the Indian River, and I'm not too sure about the ridge, all packing houses had a wastewater holding pond for their effluent, and we used to have to monitor that, and it would require maybe about $30,000 or $40,000 a year to do the monitoring of it. and all of the results would always come back innocuous. There's nothing in our wastewater. So George was very instrumental in taking that data and compiling it with Richard Kinney to give us a pass on our wastewater affluents, and it saved packing houses $30,000 or $40,000 a year.
He was also the driving force to encourage other packers to employ the Partners in Quality program, developing written protocols for the USDA that saved growers countless dollars in inspection fees while maintaining strict quality standards.
And Jerry Metcalf, who was with George, were very involved in all the meetings leading up to the beginning of the Partners in Quality. And then the second year, they came in as a packing house in participation, and they were and George with Jerry also were very involved in writing the manuals. Every packing house had to write a detailed manual of what they were doing and how they did it. And George, being the second year of packing houses, they helped the industry immensely by working with other packing houses in developing their manuals, which is an integral part of the Partners in Quality Inspection program.
He and his team received the Hammer Award from Vice President Al Gore for his contribution to build a government that works better and costs less.
Yeah, George did a lot of lobbying, and his roles is, he was president of the Indian River Citrus League and chairman. He was president of the Florida Citrus Packers. He was president of the Indian River Citrus League and chairman of the Citrus Administrative Committee. So he touched all aspects of the industry, the fresh industry specifically, and did a great job in leading us through a lot of different challenging times in all those venues.
He was always the go-to person to help craft and structure regulations, both for the domestic and the international market. And you saw that when the regulatory community, whether it is state or federal, would go to George to better understand how these things would be implemented and how they would affect the industry. And the grower and the shipper community would go to George for the same reason. And so he was able to bridge those communities in a very constructive and positive way instead of having two opposing sides.
A natural at building relationships, he is well known for offering his hunting and fishing hospitality to trade and regulatory members, providing an informal atmosphere to foster good relations for the industry as a whole.
It was a way to really communicate in an excellent way what was important to the industry and the things that George wanted to try to get across. And they were important to the industry as a whole, and I think he serviced and helped the industry throughout his entire career, and still does today, tirelessly. I don't know how he gets enough time to spend that much on the industry and still run his business as well as he did at the same time.
He has been a vital force and a major contributor for Korean tours over the past decade, providing tours of his packing house and helping the USDA to understand every aspect and step of the process in shipping citrus to Korea.
George was able to step into that position, build relationships and build bridges so that the needs of the growers are met, the packer shippers are met, but equally as important, the regulatory objectives are achieved, but he can help structure those regulations in a way that they're achievable, they're affordable, and they're going to accomplish their intended purpose. And that's a really difficult thing to do, and George is very skilled in that. And we've called on him for that for year after year after year.
Over the past year, Hamner has also been a proponent of the Florida Citrus Label Tour, which began in Polk County as an outreach program of the Florida Citrus Hall of Fame. And he is responsible for starting the tour in Indian River County.
Yeah, the Florida Citrus Crate Label Tour is something that started in the center part of the state, and George was the leader to bring it here to Indian River, the Indian River District. He was very, very enthusiastic about that and really twisted a lot of our arms to get behind it. And if it wasn't for George, that tour would not be here in the Indian River District at all.
George has a real heart for the industry, the history of it, and obviously he's been a collector of the labels, and he has a great appreciation for that.
Yeah, he cared for everybody. Not all of them cared. There were some people, well, but he did. He cared. He wanted the best he cared for our Florida citrus industry.
Outspoken, maybe sometimes more than he needs to be. and a great guy.
He really did spend a lot of time dedicating his time to the family and to the children as much as possible, and he was a fun dad.
He's a straight up guy. He is what you see. He's not fake. There's no put on about him. He's just a good guy.
Thorough, committed, entertaining.
Incredibly intelligent, perceptive, caring. Good guy. Good guy.
Therefore, we are proud and honored to welcome George F. Hamner Jr. as the Florida Citrus Hall of Fame's 200th inductee during our 60th Diamond Anniversary celebration.